What's up, everybody? What's going on, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well.
How was your week?
It was busy. Very
Me
busy.
too.
How about yours?
Very busy.
Very busy.
Very,
you know what I found?
Very busy.
We had the Labor Day weekend,
Yep.
and it seemed like work got compressed.
It did.
But you know what? I'm managing. It's Friday. TGIF, everybody. We're glad you're with us on Week's End, show number 91. You know what's making me feel a little better? You'll appreciate this.
I can appreciate that.
I've got some Niagara Falls Craft Distillery maple whiskey.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know.
I feel like it's like Canadian moonshine, like it should be illegal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Canadian whiskey is nothing new, but I saw this that said it was maple flavored, and I decided if it could combine my love of whiskey with pancake syrup, I figured you can't go wrong.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I heard that there was some new activity on the grid.
There is new activity on the grid,
and of course, you know what that means.
It's about goddamn time.
You know what that means, folks. It's Tron Stuff segment, which is getting special top billing on this week's episode.
I feel like out of 91 episodes, we've pretty much talked about Tron in probably 88 of them.
Maybe. You could be right. But it is a fairly regular subject here. Only, like you said, only because of all the wish fulfillment that we enjoy and the retro gadgets and toys and things. But this is actually legit breaking news.
It's legit. First of all, before we get into it, you should know, still haven't opened it yet.
Correct.
You should know. So that's the first thing.
I'm
but,
proud of you.
For years, you and I have been saying that we need a new Tron movie, right?
Of course.
Tron obviously is amazing. Tron Legacy obviously is amazing. And it's time for Tron 3. And there was, I forget the reason, we talked about it, I don't know, a year or two ago, that there was a reason why they never made a third one. There was another movie that failed, so they assumed a third Tron would fail as well, which was ridiculous. And that ends up being a bit of a blessing in disguise, other than the fact that we've had to wait. And what's really cool is they've announced they're going to make a Tron series. No, that's the game.
Whoop.
That's the game.
Bum, bum, bum.
That they're going to make a Tron series, take two, that's coming to Disney Plus. Now, I like this because instead of getting an hour and a half of Tron, maybe we'll get like 8 to 10 hours of Tron.
Yes.
Unless they do them in like 30-minute increments or something like that. But still, I'm really excited about this. Now, what we don't know is it going to be... Is it going to be a prequel? Is it going to be in between Tron and Tron Legacy, which there's already some canon stuff there from comics and animated series? Or is it going to be a continuation after Tron Legacy? Is it going to involve any of the existing actors and actresses? So we at this point, we have no idea what it's going to be. And I'm okay with that. I like the mystery of it.
I'm okay with that too. Hey, I got the right article, folks. You need to go over to Giant Freaking Robot, which I love that site. But they say they have trusted and proven sources.
Well, I believe this, and I'll tell you why I believe this. Because as you showed a couple of minutes ago, there's going to be a new video game, which is really exciting. There is a new ride coming to Disney. So there's been this huge kind of uptake, whatever the right word is. I'm a little tired after this busy week. There's been a whole bunch of stuff now that's come out that seems to be indicating that there's a renewed interest by Disney in Tron. So I'm excited there's going to be a game. I'm excited, which will give rise to all kinds of other games, I'm sure. I'm excited that there's going to be a series. So sometime in the next, and I realize it's not this year, right? Or probably even next year. We're probably looking at 2024. Hopefully not 2025, but I'm excited to see what it's going to be. My only fear is that if they do a series and they do it sooner rather than later, that it could end up being more centered on the real world, where I think more of us want to see more of the grid. Because originally what they were going to do in Tron 3, from my understanding, is focus on I I forget the name of the character, the girl there, that came out into the real world was Sam at the end of Legacy. They were going to focus more and more on them, and then
programs existing in the real world.
Yes, so they were going to do more about that, and then it turned out that there was actually a lot of programs in the real world, and we couldn't tell who was who. So there was going to be all this crazy stuff, but who knows?
Then you get into a whole. Well, then you get into a whole Matrix Resurrections kind of scenario, which we can argue whether that worked or not. But I'm with you. I think we need more time in the world, showing different avenues or what have you. So I'm with you. I love this story. Do you want to talk about Tron video gaming?
Yeah, so I haven't looked into this very far, but it just shows this uptick in interest in Tron. Uptick, that's the word, not upkick. I don't know what was wrong with me. But I'm really excited about this because I don't really understand it seems to be more like a puzzle kind of game than sort of like an FPS or an adventure game or something like that. But I don't know yet. But it doesn't matter. The point is that look, read the language, right? Step into the grid.
Yep.
So these identity disc puzzles. So it seems to be a puzzle game. That's fine. I don't really care what it is because again, it shows that they're willing to invest in the franchise and that these are really interesting ways of like testing the interest. So now what would be great would be to see if we end up getting, a large massive online multiplayer video game for the Tron universe once that movie comes out. So,
well, what do you think would be like? There's sort of what you, the super fan, and I would argue you're one of the biggest super fans on the planet. What you would like, because you would like to live on the grid and be in this game 24/7. I understand that, but what do you think would actually be the most interesting to maybe pull in new fans? Because when I look at those screens, when I look at that previs, some of those graphics from that preview, and I understand it's just a teaser, maybe even a proof of concept, but it looks like almost like a game that's been adapted for mobile gameplay, which might actually
and Steam
work
Deck, quite frankly,
right,
and on the Steam Deck. So I think that this here, I think that's what they're doing. I think that if they did some deep Tron story game, it would be for fans like me, right? I think this is a puzzle game, and people love puzzle games. I think it also I definitely think it's a focus group test, right? Let's see how many people are interested. I don't think this is going to translate into some major release on PlayStation or Xbox or anything like that. I think it's a mobile Steam Deck, Steam PC puzzle game. And so I actually do think this is a way of getting people to be like, ooh, what's this Tron thing? Which, of course, if anybody ever came up to me and said, ooh, what's this Tron thing? I'd be like, what is your fucking problem? So, we'll see what happens, but I think you and I are going to be talking more about this in the coming couple of years. I really do. I also think, I hope that as they begin to develop the series, that much like Tron Legacy, they don't tell us anything. They just leak little bits of footage because, again, as I've talked about on this show many times, when they initially released the footage, the first footage that we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, I believe it was, of Tron Legacy in 2010 or 2007 or whenever it was instantly mind-blowing. And everybody that saw it was like, what the hell is this? Now, I know lots of people who've never seen the original Tron, but they love Tron or they love Tron Legacy and think the original is a little outdated and cheesy, which is a lie perpetuated by the mainstream media.
How dare you, sir?
How dare you, sir? But I can see how people would. It's very 80s, right? So I think it appeals to our generation. But Tron Legacy just is a phenomenal movie. Period.
Well,
so from science fiction and action standpoint,
let me ask you this. So I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago or so. I can't remember because time has no meaning. But I went to see Blade Runner in the movie theater about a month ago. And I just wanted to check in and say, or ask you, did you really enjoy 2049, the new film where they revisited sort of Blade Runner, 20 years or 30 years later? Did you enjoy that film?
So I'll be controversial. I think it's
Yep.
better than the first.
Okay.
I absolutely love the first movie.
Yep. They're very
And
different films. They're very different.
But okay, so that's exactly where I was going. Is maybe it's not that it's better than the first. Maybe it's that it's different in a better way.
I think they're completely different genres almost. You had like this detective noir thriller, right? Set in the future, and then you had this different kind of almost like drama
very
action
different
film.
movies.
So
I loved it. 2049 is one of my go-to. I don't know what to watch. I'm bored, so I'm going to put something on films.
I've got news for you.
Bam.
They're going to fast forward another 50 years in the future, and it looks like Amazon is developing a new live action series for their streaming platform. So I think we're starting to see that maybe there's like, I mean, this is not new, but there seems to be a lot of like film properties that are getting new life in the streaming format. And I think that's for a lot of reasons. I think one, it's just selling more subs for Hulu or Amazon or Disney Plus, or, you know, there's such convergence happening with who's going to win out in the streaming wars. But I honestly think it's allowing filmmakers to have a bit more creative freedom than they do when they make a blockbuster or expected to make a blockbuster.
Ryan, are you worried about that rash? I don't know why you're getting these ads.
Well, you know, it's not me, man. Trust me, it's fine.
But I also think that you make a really good point, and it brings me back to the point I made earlier, which is a lot of fans, while we would love another theatrical release, full length feature film, we are also really cool with 10 hours or 8 hours of universe interaction versus an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 at the most.
Self-paced with your friends or your family as well.
Yeah, and we engage it longer. We talk about it longer. It's not just a moment in time. It's a whole experience. So now I'm not saying I don't ever want to see movies again. I would love to see them do, you know, Blade Runner 2049, wait a couple of years, however many years, Blade Runner series, wait again, Blade Runner movie. So I'd like to see a mix of both with some of these cinematic universes, much like we see with Marvel, right? Much like we see with DC, for the most part, much like we see with lots of different franchises. But dude, I am all for both of these. I think it's nothing but good news. Period.
Yeah. Agreed. I also just wonder, like, how long are we going to have Harrison Ford returning to these iconic characters? Because, by the way,
they don't need to do that.
Did you see? I know they don't need to, but think about Harrison Ford is kind of a unique case here because they literally have announced, pre-production of a new Indy film, and I'm like, what's the what?
And I'm worried about that because Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls was one of the worst movies I've probably ever seen. I mean, it was so
how
bad,
does that get greenlit? Is my question. I mean,
my theory is I don't think he's in it for very long.
Yeah. So
I don't think he's in it the whole time.
But then it becomes this film, which I want to say something controversial about one of the other film previews we're going to talk about, but I'll just intro that by saying then it's like the lame handoff to the next generation.
Let's see what happens.
That rarely works.
Let's see.
I think we can name, like, it happened. Ghostbusters Afterlife was really, really good.
Phenomenal.
I think that's one of
phenomenal.
I'm having trouble naming another case of a film where they hand it to the next generation that works, honestly. So it's a tricky proposition.
I don't have a lot of faith in this new Indiana Jones movie. I understand the photos are cool and I've seen all of that and the hat, the whip, and all that, but I don't know, dude.
It's a nostalgia that's not going to pay off.
Enough.
You would actually feel, I don't know, the same or better by rewatching the original. I don't know. So let's talk about Willow. Speaking of film previews, So I'm not going to show the trailer, but there's a new trailer out, right? Because D23 took place about a week ago, and we didn't talk about D23 on last week's show because I think it was right in the middle of it, or it had just kicked off.
It was.
But there's a new Willow trailer, and that's something we've talked about on the show that we're excited about because of our 80s roots and loving the character, loving the sort of universe that was created in just a single film in the 80s, and now it's coming back. What did you think of this trailer? Because this is where I question again. It looks like Willow is like leading a band of teenagers through a portal, and I'm like, it worries me.
So it worries me, but I have faith in this one that they've mixed in enough of the old characters. I like the idea that he keeps talking about the last time we did it this way. Like if you listen, it feels like it's a good blend. Now remember, Willow is a standalone. There was never any
Right.
other movie. There was never. I mean, I'm sure there were comics and books and stuff, but I have no idea how much of that actually matters. We're not going to have Mad Mardigan, obviously, because of unless they do something weird where it's de-aging or he
Right.
went through some sort of magical process and is young again or some shit like that. But they've got the brownies, they've got Sorsha, they've got the music, they've got the feel of it. And I also like the idea that if you think about Willow originally was just trying to be an apprentice in that first movie. He
True.
was really just starting his journey, but he was clearly a great sorcerer.
The student is now the master.
Yeah, and so the student is now the master, and so I'm actually totally cool with this being the master now handing it off or having this band of teenagers or however you worded it, because that's what it should be. So for me, it feels like it's appropriate, but we'll see how it really goes. Even so, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited.
Speaking of 80s films, we have another sort of film holiday to call out here, and then we're gonna quickly pivot back to current events. But did you see that? Like, this made me feel old, dude. Hackers, the film, 27 years old as of like yesterday, I think. Released 27 years ago, and I'm glad, honestly, that we can commemorate it by having the 1.44 megabyte diskette emoji. But man, for me, this was such a cool film when I was a kid watching it. I don't know about you, but just it felt like it felt subversive and fun in a way that was like unexpected from some of the other sort of like kid action movies that we had that were so popular in the 80s. So I don't know. I feel like I want to go rewatch this again.
You should rewatch it again, and I should do the same thing. I mean, I saw it a long time ago. I really don't remember it, but I remember it being one of those movies when you watched it, you were like, we were just getting into the world of computers,
Yes.
right? And hacking.
Well, yeah.
And hacking was this like war games kind of thing. So
Right.
like I would love to go back and see if it's one of those movies where it like kind of gives you that same nostalgic feeling, or are you just like, holy shit, this is horrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was all around like how did you find the keytones to like hack into a mainframe through a payphone or a rotary dial and all that kind of mess.
Yeah.
I remember the one thing that I'm really curious would stand up is I think the big bad was like, I forgot his name, but it was like one of the like nerdy comedic guys from like one of the Revenge of the Nerds movies or something. So I want to see like that alone would be really funny to watch again.
Yeah, I really don't. Why isn't my lightsaber turning on?
Uh-oh.
I think my Kyber Crystals out.
Dude, how are you going to get your hands on new Kyber Crystals? I mean, that's kind of hard to come by.
I don't know. I'm worried about it. Normally, yeah, I think my lightsaber's dead.
Dude,
that's really unfortunate.
Well, if you need a hand, like, you know, assaulting some spice mines or something to find a Kyber crystal, I'm down.
Really strange. It should just stay on.
More 80s stuff though, man. I want to go back to D3 for a minute. Did you see this moment? Holy crap. This is awesome. I mean, this is
I love it.
Honestly, I agree with this tweet. It was one of the only things that I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But you got this Indiana throwback, which I don't know. It just warms your cold geek heart.
It does. And it's interesting that there's been an increase of visibility around him. So if you want to talk about a handoff, I'm kind of wondering if that's where they're going.
Could be. I wouldn't hate it. I mean,
I wouldn't hate it.
Honestly,
he's awesome.
It works pretty well when you talk about like what they did with Karate Kid and the new Cobra Kai series, all that kind of stuff. I think it's proven that there's a formula where you can kind of like change the story, update the story, take the story further.
I totally agree.
They should have done that before Crystal Skull. This is what I'm shouting.
Yes.
What do you want to say about? There's a couple more 80s things that are just like, say what? So tell me, you saw this auction that Jetfire got sold for over $24,000. Now, explain that logic to me. Was this like mint in box?
Oh, yes. I mean, my guess is it's a low production number. It's mint in box. It has all the parts. It's clearly. I don't know if this thing was handed through a time machine. I don't know, but I was sort of
feel
making
like
the
this was
joke that
like
that's
one
a
of
fair
those.
price.
This was one of those people that was like, my comic book nerd friend that got me into comic books. He literally would buy two of everything and put
I
one
know
in
a guy that did
storage.
that. Yep,
So
I know
I feel
somebody
like
that
this
did
is one
that.
of those situations where it was like some dude just was like, "Yep, Transformers are going in the vault."
I thought it was cool that they actually showed Macross Super Valkyrie as the hashtags, because that's of course what Jetfire is. It's just a relabeled toy
That's why
from
I loved
another
it.
line.
That is
And
why I loved it so
that's
much.
why I love it too. And that's why it is on my, you know, collection bucket list of things I need to have, because it's just awesome.
Well, I mean, this
24,000
was
awesome. I don't know about that.
honestly, this was like the Transformers holy grail for me. I'll
Yes,
be real
it
with you.
is for me too. And I don't want some broken used one from eBay. I want a good one.
Yeah. Well, I
Because I
told
am
you
a
the
big
story
baby.
of my neighbor buddy who he was the one that got all the cool ones. Like I could only afford
Yeah.
I had Hound and like Transformers at that level that were like maybe $20. This one, man, it was awesome. And what did he do? Broke off the tail wing section.
Son of a bitch.
It was a very fragile Transformer, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not one that I would use. That is something that I would put on display.
Of course. Of course.
Oh, I can't wait for this shit.
All right,
dude.
you. This is looking better and better with every
Dude.
passing day.
Yes.
And it looks like they're actually releasing, I think, 3 episodes to start. So
yeah,
this is going to be a good little Saturday night with your favorite beverage and a pizza. I think. I don't know. This looks really good. I love the treatment. Not only like from what we talked about on a previous show with the trailers that have been released, but all of the fan art and the posters and everything.
Yep.
It feels like they're releasing a film here. It really feels like this is going to be a top-notch run for Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I don't care that they may look a little older, even though it's technically before Rogue One. Like, I don't care. Rogue One to me is the best of the entire franchise in many ways, and I just think that this is really going to go along with it. And it's just like, Scott is saying there, it's another gritty adult Star Wars show that is just going to be awesome, and I agree. I'm really excited about it.
I was really I was psyching myself up also watching red carpet stuff because honestly, dude, I thought I just am ready to watch it, and this was like torture. So
right.
I'm ready for it. I hope that we get to watch it this week so that we can talk about it on the show. I can't wait because I agree with you. Rogue One, it's up there. It's top
awesome.
1, 2. It's in the top 3 for me.
Top 3. I'll go with that. No, I shouldn't say it's the best because obviously
I changed my mind and oscillate, but yeah.
I do too.
I wanted to do another quick throwback that's Star Wars related. I don't know if you saw this article in the San Francisco Gate, but it talks about the fact that this is me nerding out about the behind the scenes stuff and how movies are made, but it basically explains how the design of a lot of the Bay Area sort of architecture influenced how they built the set for the Death Star in the original film.
I'm going to have to read about that.
George Lucas was based there. What became sort of Light and Magic was based there in the early days when they first started out with that group of folks in a garage back in the 70s. And it talks about the perspective of how they designed the trench based on it making it look more like fast and frenetic and dynamic because of the sort of perspective of how a model could be shot in camera with real effects. So I just thought it was a fascinating piece for everybody to check out.
That is fascinating. Definitely going to have to read that. That's really cool.
All right.
So finally, this show after 91 episodes has proved not to be useless for me.
I know, right? There's education really about architecture related to deadly space stations.
Everyone. Thank you, Professor Boyles.
Come on. What more can you ask for? What more I want to ask for is this. I wanted to talk about this tweet that's apparently a Twitter thread, and you had suggested this to talk about a
Okay.
Nomadic portrait studio tent.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to just start scrolling.
All right.
Right. This is really cool. This team of people took this tent around to get photos all throughout different cultures and peoples of Africa. And you just keep scrolling. And what's really interesting is they don't use any additional lights. They don't use, just keep going because I actually want to show the photos. They don't use any additional systems. They just use a camera and the tent and the natural daylight. And these photos are extraordinary.
Wow.
So folks, if you get a chance, do yourself a favor and go through this and share this. The story is amazing. The production is amazing. The photographs are incredible. And lots of little interesting things happen, like this curse that ends up happening that gets lifted. You really, really, really need to do yourself a favor and spend some time looking at the detail of these photos and how they did it. If you are into photography like I am, this is something you're going to want to take a look at. And I'm telling you, it has given me some ideas for some projects I want to do. And then there's a bit of heartache and turnaround at the end that you're going to want to see. Absolutely stunning project,
just
stunning photos.
This was talking about this subject to the same girl photographed 10 years apart with the project. That's amazing work.
It's incredible. Really highly recommend you go through and look at this and then follow.
Well, so this is incredible.
Beautiful.
And I want to spend more time with it. Check it out. Encouraging everybody to do the same. I think this goes to show something that you and I have we've learned sort of by doing, is that it's not so much the equipment you have, or the equipment you need or want. It's more about making the best use of what you have in the environment and honestly showing like the pop-up tent that you would take to your kid's soccer game on a Sunday, and you can do that level of work and that level of craftsmanship.
I mean, look, you need the tools, you need the talent, but you're right with a good vision. Like you don't need the best of the best. I mean, that's what the whole point of the iPhone cameras, right? Is they say anybody can make a movie now, and there's some truth to that. But I do think you're right. The other thing I realized by thinking about that tent and natural light is that I finally realized that really you and I just look fantastic in any light. I mean, really.
You really are right about that. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I feel like
look at it.
I've shifted from having, amazing. You know what, I used to say that I had no good side because every photo came out wrong. Now I'm gonna roll with every side is good side to me now.
Yeah, I'll go with every side.
Let's do it. Let's do
every side is good. Maybe do one of these where it's like a
right. Oh, yep. Yeah. I think
that hurt my neck.
That was old. You don't injure yourself.
I hurt myself.
We don't want 91 to be the last episode.
That was painful. True.
So you wanted to talk. I've got a story to wrap us up with, but before we go, it looks like, man, you have put together more screenwriting ideas in your Twitter thread, and I wanted to
my moment
remind folks that where this lives. You should attach it to the show or I'll attach it to the show right after this episode.
I would love that.
Screenwriting ideas are just, man, they are like flowing out of you like water.
Dude,
like, where
they're
do you
like
have
lightning
the time?
bolts.
Where do you have the time for
a lot of them like come to me when I'm sleeping or whatever. But here's the deal. I'm getting really close to being fully motivated to actually start writing a book. And so this is my list of ideas for the screen or the page or whatever. But I share these ideas because of two things. First of all, hey, look, if you're a motivated writer and you're looking for an idea, take one of my ideas. Like I'm cool with that. Like, really. But also, I would love for people to go through this. Like Casey the other day, one of our friends, read this one here, Devil's Broom, and he was like, dude, this is awesome. Please, can you actually write this? This is one of the ones I'm legitimately thinking about writing. So I would just love if you get a chance, scroll through this. Let me know if something really jumps out at you as like, oh my God, this is one I would love to read.
I love this one.
And also, Ryan, your idea of that guy that takes footage that he finds on YouTube and other places and makes his own trailers. I also love that idea. So definitely starting to think about putting together more of these ideas and making them something really realistic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't leave it in idea phase. I'm encouraging you to really go for it, because I think it's legit something that you can channel so much creativity into. I know writing books is no joke, but
it's no joke, but honestly, I want to give it a shot.
honestly, I think it's a worthy cause.
We're at 30 minutes. Wrap us up.
We're 30 minutes. I want to show you something. I don't know, like, have you ever been to a concert that you've taken your parents to?
Not like a no.
Like either as a teenager,
it would be the other way around. It would
so
be
not
the
as
other
a
way
teenager
around.
or now. Okay.
No.
Well, I just want to say something here. My parents are cooler than your parents.
That is very true.
So this is a shot from last weekend. When I had my
that dude photobombing you.
Oh, I know, right? We had all these. Look, the girl is giving side eye over here behind my wife.
Oh yeah.
So we have this charity concert thing in Winston-Salem every year. It's a big to-do where it's like a bike race and a beer festival smushed into one thing. It's all for charity, but they also have live music on the street. And I just happened to be at my parents' house last week because, I had the speaking gig, and we went out and we got to see Dawes in concert for free, and we were third row.
Wow.
So I just thought this is a cool selfie with them.
Dude, that is cool. That's so cool.
And if you want to check out Dawes, I have a video of things happen. This is honestly so cool because look how close we are. This is us watching Dawes, and
wow,
man, it was amazing. They're touring with Bahamas right now, and I think they're touring for another like 45 days or so. But
wow.
if you want to check them out, Dawes is awesome. The lead singer of Dawes, just to give you perspective, is married to Mandy Moore, who is the singer and star in the hit NBC show This Is Us. So they're an LA band. They are incredible. We saw them in Punta Cana 2 years ago, and then to see them just in this little intimate, like on a street corner, was just pretty darn cool.
That's really cool, dude.
So that's our show, folks. Thanks for watching Weeks In. We appreciate each and every one of you. We want to hear from you.
How do you do the heart hands thing? Is it this? Oh, I hate it. It's so cheesy, but love you.
Oh, I like to do this. It's
the child.
We didn't get to talk about the child this week. I guess we got to bump him from the, too much Tron. We got to bump the child. It's fine. But folks, thanks for watching. This is our show. We love doing it. We love all of you. We love each other. It's a love nerd fest up in here.
There's a lot of love.
We'll be coming at you next week with some more nerdy loving goodness. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Have a fantastic weekend.
Yes, you too.
See ya.
Let's see. What should we? Did you already hit stop?
Do we have it? No, we're still going. I was waiting for you to give me a subliminal cue on what.
Okay. All right. Ready. So here we go.
What's the freeze?
So freeze.